on the 4th of June, Amrit Vela Hundaya, like 3:30 in the morning, Sangat Sukhmani Sahib kar rahe hai. So at about 4 o'clock, the army suddenly begin bombing Darbar Sahib using artillery because they're unable to gain ground with the soldiers. You have helicopters circling, they're starting firing from the helicopters. The helicopters are using lights to guide in their soldiers.
What's interesting as well is that at the same time, the Maryada doesn't stop. The thing is still reading Asa Diwar. And at this time, when the torps fire, General Shebeg Singh is coming back from Darbar Sahib after doing Palki Seva. They still continue. And I'm talking about the helicopter gunships is like a famous Saki of how they're trying to deliver troops and stuff. And Pai Amrik Singh takes the SLR and stops that advance from happening as well.
So you have 7 divisions of the Indian army deployed at this point through all 3 branches, the army, the navy, the air force, and they're under immense political pressure now as well because this is on June 4th now. Remember at the start, the general in charge of it saying that this is going to be over in 2 hours, that they're going to be on their knees. So 4 days later now, there's intense firing, they're losing a massive number of soldiers. General Shebeg Singh had set up firing positions that were a few inches off the ground in order to wound the Indian soldiers and then wait for other soldiers to come and pick, because he knew the protocols of the Indian army. He was shoot to wound them, and then 2-3 more are going to come to take that soldier and then get all of them together. So their casualties were piling up massively, and they weren't prepared. There's a video of an Indian army lieutenant, and he says when we come in under one of the entrances to get into the Parkarma, he's we're being fired from above, underneath, from behind, and he's we're being fired at from all angles, and we don't know where these positions are. We can't see anything. There's all this tuwa, etc. And he's they haven't prepared us for this. They haven't given us this type of training to meet this type of fortifications. So that's when they start under political pressure, under obviously the growing threat of revolt from Punjab. Indian forces start using heavy artillery. They're requesting support for main battle tanks. At this point now they've got about 15,000 soldiers for this main assault. They've got heavy weapons. They've got additional 35,000 soldiers in reserve, and the Khalsa Fauj at this point is less than 300. Water supply is being cut off, and they're thriving off punne hoye sholle and Guru's Kirpa and the Ardasa.
I always find this bit quite astounding is that like Shamsher Singh was saying that they had unlimited resources, so their battalions and they've got infantry regiments, and they're getting replenished time and time again. They're getting there's wave after wave of attack is getting met. And the crazy thing is that whether you look at the Babbar Khalsa Singhs, the Guru Nanak Nawaz, Ona di Morcha Bandi si at the water tanki,
tank morcha,
and the crazy thing is but Ona di Morcha Bandi was 2 Singhs. Each morcha, and the difference was, it's not necessarily just tactical. General Shebeg Singh was definitely tactically amazing, and and the infrastructure of Darbar Sahib had been created in that sense, where there's tunnels and all sorts of things for the same reason. But it's also about the bravery of the fighters, because they had been told, imagine Santi or someone had told them, whichever group it was, has said that this is your morcha, you're not leaving unless they walk over your chest in it. So that's the difference. Towards the end of 4th of June as well, there's this Dr. Bhagwan Singh, he's a Sikh Student Federation leader, and he's still alive today, and he was talking about the attack, and he clearly wasn't of the same kind of caliber of these other Guru Sikhs, because he was saying that when the battle started, General Shebeg Singh had said early on the 4th that this is the perfect place to give Shahidi as a soldier, because it has a place connected to your Dharam and your ancestry and your people. And he goes, that's when I realised that he was ready to die and I wasn't. He's a PhD student, so he's studied Sikh history in depth, and what he was saying was that what we couldn't believe was happening is what we've been reading about was happening before our eyes. Because when they got to Akal Takht on the 4th of June, he goes, Santji was handing out 2 tare khande and was saying to the Singhs, Singho je asla mukega de khanda kharka deo, but kisi ne haath nahi kare. And he goes, I'm standing there thinking I can't believe what I'm watching. This is the kind of history that we've read about, and it's happening in front of our eyes.
Just the mahal from the Singhs that were inside the Darbar Sahib, they're talking about Sant Janel Singh's older brother putting on a brand new chola, new kamar kasa, new dastar, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਚਾਹ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਵਿਆਹ ਤੇ ਚੱਲੇ ਆ, ਮੌਤ ਨੂੰ ਵਿਆਹਣ ਚੱਲੇ, they're going to marry death. You had other Singhs that were writing their names and they're putting them inside the golak in Darbar Sahib, so that Sikhs in future generations would know who fought here. The environment was one of Chardi Kala, that we are going to meet the Indian army kind of head on.
So Baba Gurbakh Singh Ji, before when I think it was the Afghan forces were going to attack Darbar Sahib, they had permission to stay behind with their 30 Singhs, and those 30 Singhs, they all got dressed up in wedding clothes and all their best busted and stuff, name gatre, because we could see them mauth no viana. Oh, same jidna itihas hai Singha ne daraya. See that the same way Shamsher was talking about that, Sanchi put on a new chola, the star.
Yeah, by HOJNE Singh Mukta puts a balti on his head, teal balti, because he was when the bullets come, tilka jaugiyan, they'll deflect off the balti, and he basically didn't want his chehra to become bepashan. He didn't want to become unrecognizable from his face, because he wanted people to know that HOJNE Singh Mukta aithe ladke shaheed hoya. So that kind of spirit.